Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today we will chant up to 16 verses. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrim Karne, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate, Mudhajahi dhana Gamatrishnaam Kuru Satbuddhim Manasi Vitrishnam Yallabhase Nija Karmopatam Vittam Tena Vinodaya Chittam Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate Nari Stana Bharanabhi Desham Trishva Maga Mohavesham Etanaman Savasadi Vikaram Manasi Vichintaya Varam Varam Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate Nalini Dalagata Jalamati Taralam Tattvajjivitamati Chapalam Vidhi Vyadhyabhimana Krastam Lokam Shokahatam Chasamastam Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate Yavat Vitto Parjana Saptaha Tavat Nija Parivaro Rakta Paschat Jivati Jara Jara De Vartam Kopina Prachati Gehe Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate Yavat Pavano Nivasati Dehe Tavat Pruchati Kushalam Gehe Gatavati Vayaude Hapaye Bharya Yatitasmin Kaye Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate Balastavat Krida तरुण स्तावत् तरुणी सक्त वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्त परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्त भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारो यमतीव विचित्र कस्य त्वं ककुत आयात तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रात भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्त्वं निश्चलतत्त्वे जीवनमुक्ति भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते वयसि गते कामविकार शुष्के नीरे काकसार क्षीणे वित्ते का परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसार भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते मा कुरु धन जन यौवन गर्भं हरति निमेष काल सर्वं मायामयमिदम् अखिलं बुद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते दिन्यामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायात काल क्रीडति गच्छति आयु तदपि न मुञ्चति आशावायु भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते काते कान्ता धनगत चिन्ता वातुल किं तव नास्ति नियन्ता त्रिजगति सचन्स गतिरेका भवति भवार्णवतरणे नौका भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते जटिलो मुण्डी लुञ्चित केशः काषायाम्बर बहुकृत वेश पश्यन्नपि च न पश्यति मूढो उदरनिमित्तं बहुकृतवेश भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते अंगं गलितं पलितं मुण्डं दशनविहीनं जातं तुण्डं वृद्धो याति गृहीत्वा दण्डं तदपि न मुञ्चति आशापिण्डं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते अग्रे बह्नि पृष्ठे भानु रात्रौ चुबुक समर्पित जानु करतल भिक्षा तरुतलवास तदपि न मुञ्चति आशापाश भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते. So we saw verse number 13 last week, and verse number 13 is the last verse in what is called the Dvadasha Manjarika. Bhaja Govindam was given out by Shankaracharya when he was walking with his two disciples in Banaras, and he saw an elderly man learning grammar or cramming the rules of grammar, and that with just looking at that sight, the first verse came out of him, and then the next 12. So the first verse is said to be a chorus, which we repeat after each verse. And the next 12 verses were given by Jagat Guru Shankaracharya. And the next 14 are given by his students. And the last 4 concluding verses, summarizing and blessing all the seekers, are by Jagat Guru Shankaracharya. So the verse number 13 was telling us that to cross over this ocean of becoming, satsang, the company of good, of like-minded people, although we loosely say good, it really means like-minded people, and we are all trying to evolve, and that is why we call it Sat is good, because one who is established in the truth will always be proper and good and ethical and moral in their behavior, in their contact with the world. So that is why we loosely associate, or it implies that a person established in truth is a good person. So that is the company which will take us across the ocean of becoming. Now, what is it that keeps us bound in Bhavsagar and becoming? I want to become rich. I want to become healthy. I want to become a mother. I want to become a grandmother. I want to become educated. I want to become constantly, we want to change our situation and become something other than who we are. And this keeps us entangled in the world and keeps us from seeking the eternal. And that is our desires, constant desires to become other than who I am. And as we had seen earlier, that desires are what keep us from the eternal, from seeking that which will be with us forever, that which will bring us fulfillment, that which will bring us joy, and how we can stay on that course. So the next 3 verses talk about how we manage our desires. They are about desire management, as Gurudev used to call it. So verse number 14, we will all be able to see the picture of this person. Jatilo Mundi Lunchita Kesha. So this is a person who has jata, who has matted locks. So, or, one who has shaven his head, Lunchita Kesha means in some traditions, particularly amongst the Jains, they have this tradition of pulling one hair at a time when one becomes a renunciate. And not only that, but as they are pulling each hair, it is rather painful, but not a drop of tear should fall from the eyes. There is somebody who counts the number of teardrops flowing from the eyes of this person, and they have to fast for as many days as tears flow through them. Now, this is it may seem rather cruel practice, but the hair represent desires, and to remove the hair, to remove all desires, is what is meant by pulling one, and it is addressing one at a time. So they take one at a time, and at that time there should be no pain. It should be actually a joyful decision that one has made. So they are referring to a renunciate who has pulled out his hair. So either a renunciate with matted locks, Jatilo Mundi, one with a shaven head, or one whose hair Lunchita Kesha, whose hair have been pulled up. Or Kashayambara Bahukritavesha, or one who is wearing ochre robes or saffron clothes. So here they are referring to somebody who looks like one of the Swamis. Pashya napichana pashyati mudha. But this person, although he sees, is a deluded one. So he does not see. And all these different appearances are only for the sake of the belly. Now, the whole purpose, we are all used to what in Gujarat, or I'm sure in other places, we call them dhongi swamis. They are hypocritical swamis. These are the people who are escapists. They don't want to have any duties or obligations to fulfill. They don't want to act in the world outside. They want to depend on the society, and they use this appearance. They put on this appearance of being a renunciate. They have not renounced in reality. So they are escaping. Escaping from desires is not a way of managing or controlling the desires, is the purpose of this particular verse. Now, we have also got to understand what is renunciation. When we attach with something higher, the lower will automatically fall off or drop off. Just as with, you look at Mahatma Gandhi, you look at Nelson Mandela, what did they attach with? What was the higher they attached with? The welfare of their people. Once that they were attached to that, everything else, how much wealth they accumulated, what luxuries they had in life, all those things became immaterial. They were taken out of their life. They were fully focused on that goal. So as long as we have desires, we will remain entangled in the world. Mahatma Gandhi did not, nor did Nelson Mandela, care about where the next meal would come from. They had this confidence that I will be provided for. And so the renunciation is when you attach to something higher, the lower drops off. But in this case, they are not attached to anything higher. They are still attached to the world, but they don't want to work. They want to escape their responsibilities. We all have responsibilities first to ourselves, to maintain ourselves. They don't want to do that. They want to depend on the society. They want society to take care of them. Now, the Hindu society, we take care of the renunciates, of the swamis. It is the dharma of a householder to look after these swamis. Why is it the dharma of a householder to look after these swamis? Because what these swamis offer to the society and to the universe at large is so great that we want to take away the responsibility of caring for themselves so that they will be able to dedicate that time towards the welfare of the society. We want to help them manage their service to the society by giving what little we can give, so that time is made available to them. And we can look at what Swami Vivekananda brought to this world. Swami Shivananda, Swami Vivekananda brought so many Swamis who are serving the society even today world over. Swami Shivanandaji, what great masters. He was an institution in himself, but not only was he an institution in himself giving to the world, but he brought out so many Swamis who became institutions in themselves. Swami Chidanandji, Swami Shivanandji, Swami Atmanandji, who started the Mongir school of yoga. There are about 8 to 10 Swamis of that magnitude. And others, who haven't come up to gotten that limelight, but have done equally great service. So that is why we have this tradition, a very noble tradition of looking after the Swamis. And we are often offended, or we feel that we are let down by these hypocrites. However, if in looking after the real sannyasis, if we happen to care for one of the hypocrites, we should not allow ourselves to be disappointed or rejected for what we are doing. However, what they are doing is what is being addressed here. What is being addressed is this: although they see the glory of renunciation, they do not see the glory of renunciation. When we put on a uniform, how many hours is our, obligation to the uniform? For as many hours as we are on duty with the uniform. For example, the uniform of a policeman, the uniform of an army officer, anybody you take, they have to live up to the dignity of their uniform for as long as they are in that uniform. Once they come out of the uniform, they become ordinary individuals. Now, these sannyasis, they wear their uniform 24/7. They have to maintain the dignity of that uniform 24/7, 365 days. Not for a minute. And they don't have, you see, in every other uniform, it is an obligation. For the sannyasis, it is not an obligation. It is who they are. While we are talking about them, they wear saffron robes. Why do they wear saffron robes? What is the color of the sun when it is rising? And what is the color of the sun when it is setting? The same. The same saffron robes that are worn by the sannyasis. Whether things are looking up or things are looking down, like that sun, they remain the same. It makes no difference to them. They face it with the same poise and equanimity. They have this understanding and appreciation that the world is changing and it will be up and down, but they are established in the changeless. And that is why they wear the saffron robes, symbolizing that. All the other thing is, the other symbolism is the color of fire. It is in fire that we burn all our negativities, our passions, our desires, and give out the brilliance. So this is the reason they wear saffron robes. There's a very interesting conversation that took place between Swami Tejomananji and one of his disciples with whom he was quite close, so he could have this kind of a conversation. So this disciple said to him, he said, Swamiji, you are such a great man. At such a young age, you renounced everything. So Swamiji said to him, he said, no, you are greater than I am. So the man says, why? He said, I renounced the world, the appearance for the real. You have renounced the real for an appearance. Whose renunciation is greater? So, but till we don't come to recognize and know the change, we will fall for the real, unreal, and we will keep moving towards the unreal. And our desires, we don't even know how they will play with us. So escaping our desires is not a way of managing our desires. We may try to, pretend we have renounced, but that we really haven't renounced. So if renunciation is, not the way, then he talks, is indulging in our desires, the way to manage them. So in verse 15, he talks, Angam galitam palitam mundam dashana vihinam jatam tundam vruddho yati grihitva dandam tadapina munchati asha pindam. So people start feeling that you live only once, and you may as well make the most of your life, and one keeps indulging in desires. And the thing is, the more we indulge in desires, it is like adding fuel to fire. The desires keep on increasing, they keep on increasing. And they have given a state, a very pathetic state has been described here, which comes that the person is old, the body has become extremely feeble, angam galitam, the body is completely worn out. Palitamundam, the hair have gone gray, and person may be balding as well. Dashana vihinam, without teeth, the teeth have all fallen down. And grihitva dandam, this person is holding a cane in the hand, but yet desires have not left the person. Still, I wish I can do just one more trip somewhere. Or maybe, I hope they're not able to chew, but they still want to enjoy foods. They're still desiring, and it's a very sad and a pitiable state to see. So such a state, by indulging in desires also, we are not able to manage our desires. Indulging in desires actually is, again, as I said, adds fuel to the fire, makes us desire more and more, and we become more miserable in life, because it almost feels like there is, so much to do, so much to enjoy, and my body is not helping me, not giving me the ability to enjoy. A very sad state. So indulging in desires also will not help us manage the desires. So then the third disciple says, if escaping does not help manage desires, if indulging in desires does not help us manage desires, the third is extreme austerities. So this person in verse 16 who is described, he says that he sits with the fire in front. This person is in front of the fire with sun on his back. And late night, when it is cold, he sleeps out in the open. It is, and he has his knees held to his chin because has absolutely no belongings whatsoever. And all that he receives is alms that is handed over in his palm, and lives on that little, and lives under the shelter of some tree. So this he's talking about living in extreme austerities. But in spite of all this, the last line, tadapina munchati asha pasha. But yet the desire, the noose of desires still bind him. This person is trying hard to give up desires, but the austerities is not, they're not knocking austerities. Austerity, we have to remember here that the idea is you don't have to, become a victim and practice such forceful suppression of desires. If we forcefully suppress our desires, it will have, the effect of a spring that is pressed down, and when you release it, it will just spring forth at you, or the pressure cooker effect. The pressure will suddenly, if you open the pressure cooker, the steam will just come right upon you and be very harmful and damaging. So suppression is not a solution. They're showing us what techniques we use in life to manage our desires. And then at the end, he says, none of these help us. So then how do we manage our desires? The next two verses are very beautifully given, and they give us a beautiful idea of how to manage our desires, but they have to be understood clearly. So verse number 17, I've just introduced you to it. Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam, Prat Paripalanam Athvadanam, Jnana Vihina Sarvamatena, Muktina Bhajati, Bhajatina Muktin Janmashatena. So you do the pilgrimage of Ganga Sagar, you give in charity, you follow all the vows that are there. If this is devoid of the experience of truth, then there will be no mukti or liberation. But if this leads you to the truth, it leads you to managing of the desires, then this is a way. But that I will explain next week. A beautiful analysis, a beautiful analogy and a beautiful symbolism in some of the rituals that we have of Ganga, doing the pilgrimage of Ganga Sagar. Why do we give in charity? What does it do to us? And after that, of course, in verse 18, he says about this person who has matured from these practices, all the joys of the world are at the feet of this person. So next class, we will look at that. We will say our concluding prayers. I see it's almost 9:34. We'll say the concluding prayers, and if anybody has any questions or anything, we will answer them and meet for a few minutes. Oh. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukhabhat bhavet. Anybody have any questions or any comments? I guess we can meet. Everybody's microphones are turned off. I've done my speaking. Now it's your turn.
Everybody can unmute and talk.
Jasmine, Jani, you were a little late, 2 minutes.
Yeah, I admitted her a little late.
Okay.
I was waiting to enter.
I saw your message.
Compound માં વાંદરા આવ્યા તે બગાડવા ગયો હતો.
વાંદરા સાંભળવા આવ્યા હશે.
Meera, did you understand what Bhuvnesh said?
The monkeys have come.
Yes. Yes.
Is that the moment?
Yeah.
I love watching monkeys. You know, Meena, we had gone to, it was in near Rishikesh,